Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the DSS podcast, episode 3, live here on the Whatnot app. My name is Moon, your host tonight. How's everyone doing? This is episode 3, and this is also day 2 of the Moon Masterclass. This is an exciting night because tonight we're going to be talking about something I really enjoy. It's probably the best part of my job is the buying and the selling of the items. And I think it's going to be a good one tonight. So stick around, clock in, and let's get going tonight. How's everyone doing? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this on another platform, thank you for taking some time out of your week to watch our podcast. This is a live podcast we do over here on Whatnot. You guys can find it here live at DSS Enterprises on the Whatnot app. And let's get going on some giveaways. There you go. We're going to give away this. We kind of added this new feature, so the giveaways are up here. But if you want to see something, you can go like this. How's everyone doing? Good to see you tonight. Let's get some people in here. Let's get kind of clocked in, and let's get talking about one of my favorite topics. Probably one of the reasons that excites a lot of people to get into this industry is the flipping aspect, the buying, the selling of merchandise products. You know, it's exciting. It's one of the things that makes me so excited about every single hobby, you know, every single collectible item, every single type of business is I buy this for this, I sell it for that. So who doesn't want to make money? Exactly. I want to make some money. Let's go. The question of the night tonight for the poll is, do you ever have a problem finding products that are priced right to resale? And I think we're going to talk a lot about that as we dig into this topic tonight. And we'll tell you a little bit how the polls are doing later in the evening. Yeah, so this is our giveaway. We're going to be giving away a bunch of these tonight, guys. So there we go. I'm going to put that up there. And we're just going to kind of chat a little bit. So how's everyone doing? It's currently Thursday. Today is Thursday, August 31st, 2023. We got Labor Day weekend coming this weekend. And then next week, we're doing the Long Beach Expo, which is going to be a show. We're actually going to postpone our next podcast until Tuesday next week. And we're going to do like a dual series before and after the Long Beach Expo. It's going to be a podcast special. I'm kind of going to be talking about my mindset, about what we're going to be doing at Long Beach. And then we're going to give you a recap podcast probably that Monday about what we're doing. So that's going to be the next podcast. But yeah, how's everyone doing? It's almost the weekend. Saturday's coming. Thank God, Friday's coming. Labor Day weekend, one of the most fun weekends of the year for a lot of people, going out to the lake and stuff. It's going to be a good time. But we're here tonight to talk about buying and selling 101. I think this is a very good topic, especially for somebody new into the reselling industry. It's an important topic because your business relies on sourcing product, and for me, I believe this is the hardest part of this industry. I think you can have a lot of experience in a lot of things, but nothing prepares somebody to go source product. And it's probably one of the biggest struggles, I think, for any business, especially if you want to scale your business, is sourcing the product. So it's definitely tough. What's going on? Let's say hi to a couple people. Marcy Love's in the building. How you doing? Shay, what's going on? Hanson, what's going on? What's up, B? Trod, what's going on? Everybody, how you doing? How you doing? What's up, Game Guy? How's everyone doing? Good to see you. Welcome to the DSS podcast, episode 3. It's been a fun week doing these. I'm excited to keep them going. Chad, I want you guys to get involved tonight because this is all about bringing entrepreneurs and like-minded people together. If you have a thought, there's no wrong answers, no wrong questions. So your questions will get answered, and we want to work together to help solve those. But I'll start here, and then we'll kind of go into the chat. So for me, this is probably one of the easiest things that came for me because I love to buy. But I'll tell you what, I was not a good buyer when it came to reselling. I was, at the beginning of my journey in cards as well as coins, the limited amount of buying I've done for the coins, It's very easy to get excited when you're going to a show, you're buying a collection, buying a group of stuff because you're like, man, I can make a lot of money off this, but you don't understand, just because you like, this is something someone told me is this is going to play well tonight is just because you like something doesn't mean somebody else does. And that goes a lot of different directions, I mean, especially when we talk about like, coins or sports cards or something kind of niche. Some you might think it's the greatest deal ever, but that might be what you like. So, for example, like sports cards, just because you're a big guy on Josh Allen, let's say, or um, Joe Burrow card, and you're like, man, I see that Joe Burrow card, that's super cheap. Somebody else might think it's expensive, but that's why you got to have diversity. So, um, I think when you talk about buying product and sourcing inventory, you have to be very selective on what you're picking and almost make it, to the point where you're buying a little bit of everything, And one of my biggest tips for anyone out there tonight, if you're starting out here on Whatnot or starting out your business, wherever you're starting out, is buying quantity. Don't be afraid to, buy a few things as well. Don't just buy one thing because you have to have diversity in your shows, or on your website or whatever that is, because diversity is what brings more people to you. We talked last night about brand and brand awareness. But if you don't have diversity, you might have a niche, but you're only targeting that audience. You have to have a little bit of everything. And, usually when you buy things in bulk, you get a little better rate. So you have to think about that as well. Um, but being able to buy something and resell it at a price, is something that just comes with over time. When I go to a show, and this is going to be great leading into next week, when we go to a show, we're doing a $15,000 spending challenge at the Long Beach Expo. When I'm buying stuff there for that challenge, I'm going to be looking at stuff and I'm going to be like, okay, I can buy this for this. How much more can I sell this for? Or how low can I get something? Um, whether you're buying on Instagram, you're buying from somebody at a show, you're buying from somebody just because there's a starting price doesn't mean that's the end all price. Don't be afraid to negotiate those prices down either. If you're like, man, I want this collection, but I know I can only sell this for $10,000. And he wants 12, it's just not going to work. You might have the 12,000 and you need the inventory, but man, if you're not going to make money on it, what's the point of lighting $2,000 on fire, plus whatever fees you have and whatever else, and that's the struggle. We talk about this all the time on our channel. Is our biggest problem with, doing this for so long has been sourcing product, because the minute you find something people like, you can't just go buy it because it's hard to replace it. And I think that's always going to be a big struggle. Um, but yeah, I think there's a lot of, good with that as well. I think everybody kind of knows, I mean, we're in 2023. Everybody's kind of a flipper now. Unfortunately, I think 10 years ago, this would have been a whole different conversation, but margin's not there like it used to be. I mean, you can't go on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or anywhere, a garage sale or wherever anymore, and buy stuff and plan to, 4x your money anymore. You're looking for those flips where you're making 20% at most. If you're making 20%, you're killing it in 2023, no matter what it is. If you're able to buy something and make 20% on it, that's unheard of. I mean, we're in an age now where 5 to 10% profits are huge. And I think that's one thing that people will get misled by when they see these big numbers, these big sales on stuff. You're not buying stuff anymore to make 10x your money anymore. Those days are long, long gone. You're buying stuff now, and if you're making 5 to 10% on that whole transaction, that's a huge win. And I think that's something, that needed to be said, and it's not said enough. People think you're on here making millions of dollars. If people were making millions of dollars doing online sales, it'd just be, everyone would do it. I mean, it's just not it's not what it used to be. My family is having a Whatnot Moon podcast party right now. I love it. Um, but yeah, if you guys have any comments or anything you want to add to this, please chime in. But this is a great conversation. One of my favorite topics because I think this is what attracts a lot of people to the thing is this is how you be creative. This is where you put your creativity to the test is what products you buy, what you represent, you know, what you show. I mean, it's based off you. I mean, it's your, at the end of the day, you're the one that's buying and picking the merchandise that you sell. So this is one of the biggest aspects to your whole business. I mean, if you're a coffee shop, you're the one that decides what kind of beans go in your coffee. You're the one that makes the recipe. You're the one that sets the prices. If you're selling on here and you're selling coins and bullion, you're the one that gets to decide what kind of coins you want to sell and what you're buying, etc. Um, but yeah, that's the cool beauty of this whole thing. But I think definitely something to remember. We're in a different era in online business than we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Especially from a flipping aspect, you're not seeing as many big deals. I know we buy a lot of stuff and we do a lot of deals with a lot of different people. And I've gone to a lot of different shows in the last year, and it's just not what it used to be. It's not even even a year ago to 5 years ago. You can ask anybody that's in this seat right now. It's not what it used to be for buying. I mean, you're looking for those plays now where that are in that, you know, I'm going to make 10, 15%. And that's the truth. I mean, we tell people that and they don't believe me. They're like, there's more, you're making more than that. Otherwise you wouldn't be doing it. Well, you're doing it because you're trying to maximize on volume. I bought a lot of deals over the last year that we probably could have made more money, but we would have had to sit on it a lot longer. And then you're talking about how long do I want to sit on these items? If I want to sit on these items for 6 months, yeah, I could make 25%. But what could I have been doing with that money during that time? You know, that 3 months instead of having those products sitting there doing nothing for me. Congratulations on your giveaway. Congratulations on your giveaway. Ladies and gentlemen, we do giveaways during our podcast here on Whatnot. So if you want to win some free items, click that link in our bio and come on over to Whatnot and try and win some free stuff. Chad, I want to know, are you a seller? And what do you think about our question of the night? Do you have a problem sourcing product? Is it getting harder, do you think, right now in this time of year to source stuff and buy stuff for the prices of reselling it? I feel like I've talked to a few people actually in the last week about this because I was preparing for this, and all of them said the same thing. It's getting a lot harder to buy. Selling has been, it's been a little slow. So I think buying at those right prices has been getting a lot harder. I'm a solo on Whatnot right now. What about sourcing your stuff, Ken? How you doing? Whatnot needs to pump up more advertising, acquiring new buyers weekly. I'm a buyer. Absolutely. September is known for prices to start going up. Absolutely. But unfortunately, as a business, you can't stop just because it's a slow month. And sometimes you do have to sell stuff at a loss, which losses hurt, but hopefully you can make those losses up into other things. I have a large lot that I own outright. I could slowly pick through it, and I'd probably took me 5 years to sell it all, whatever I buy now. Yeah, I know, right? I feel you. I feel you. Does anyone have any advice or anything from their buying experience? Rolls of maples for 125. Talk about moving inventory. Shout out to Trader V. Oh man. Yeah, sometimes you buy rolls for $600 and then sometimes they sell for $125. It does happen. I've seen it tonight. I've heard of it. It's crazy. It just happens. And I think the other thing people need to understand too is don't be afraid to take those losses. Those losses, people remember the losses as much as they remember the wins, but those times when customers get deals, they remember those a lot more. And I think, when you're going into buying, I mean, there might be some items, that you're paying a little stronger on. But if you're getting some of those items when you're getting a better deal, it gives you more room on your bigger items as well. One of the things that a wise person told me is, you need to go into a buying session as a whole, because you might pay more on some things and less on others. But if you go in it, that is your buying session, you can justify paying a little more for stuff you need because the other stuff is helping bring your cost average down. But you have to sell everything as well. Welcome, Chad. Welcome. I definitely think that there's a lot of talk right now in the chat about buying and buyers. We need buyers, but absolutely buyers are important, but you have to find your buyers as well. But finding buyers can be, bringing better deals. So being able to buy those better deals. I don't know, maybe something that we're all lacking is we're not bringing, the better deals right now. I don't know. For me, it just feels like, this stuff can only be bought so cheap. And, it's educating people how we do our business and how we can, buy more stuff. And we can't replace this item for, what it's selling at right now. And explaining that is important too. Yeah, this industry especially is not cheap. And it's hard to replace stuff right now when you're a ticking time bomb, spot just keeps going up. Absolutely. I can't ever find good deals, Thor said. Thor, where are you looking? Where are you looking for good deals? Does anyone have anything they're willing to share? For me, I'll share this. I think, I found a lot of really good deals going to shows. If you're in a collectible space, there's probably a convention, and that's a great place to go to get really good deals. Anytime you can meet someone in person and look at their inventory, you're going to get a lot better deal than doing something, normally online. And that's just a fact, So for anyone out there, if you're looking to try and get some good deals, your best bet's to try and do more in-person dealing. Because normally when people are in person and it's cash, cash money talks. Whenever you're trying to buy a deal too, make sure you're always bringing cash. Because if you're doing PayPal, if you're doing Venmo, if you're doing Zelle, whatever, that's all, taxable income. And, sometimes cash talks. People prefer cash in 2023. That's a solid fact for the night. Coin shows have been solid, paid 8 or 16 times face on junk silver. Wow, that's awesome. Seeing people sell government-backed silver at the same price as truly junk rounds makes buyers not appreciate the difference. Yeah, absolutely. 18 times on Mercury's. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, unfortunately, at the end of the day, everything's always cheaper offline too because there's not the fees, There's not the fees online, but that's another great example of this too when you're going in trying to buy something, you know, um, you're going to get it cheaper in person, but make sure you factor in that fee before you buy it because sometimes I bought things where I'm like, man, I'm going to make tons of money. And then I forget about the fees and I'm like, man, I'm just breaking even on this unless I sell it for more. And I can't really sell it for more because there's already comps out there. Yep, I agree, Marcy. I agree. Um, you know, this podcast is not just focused on coins too, folks. If you're from another category, cards, if you're from sneakers, whatever, we focus on everything here tonight. It's all about collectibles. We do have a lot of gold and silver people in here, and I love that. Took last night's podcast to heart, made hats with logos, more keychains, ordered stickers, and got contacted help for website sales. I love that, Chad. Congratulations on your kickstart to your business. Vintage all day. Yeah, that's another great conversation. A lot of people, it seems like, are going the vintage route in 2023, whether it's, cards. I've seen a lot of vintage toys getting really popular. I've also seen, a lot of people switching to, vintage rounds of silver and vintage shoes. It seems like vintage is taking a huge upswing in 2023, which is really cool. A lot of that stuff's neat because a lot of people don't have it. They're looking for a niche item. It's educating too. I have books and I teach rarity and mintage. That's awesome. I love it. Vintage coins, jewelry, cards, etc. Yeah, absolutely. But there's a lot of great stuff, out there. When you're buying too, a lot of the guys that have vintage stuff probably have sat on that stuff for a little bit. So maybe you can get some better deals on vintage stuff. And maybe that's one of the reasons, vintage started getting a little bit of an upswing. I don't know those analytics, but that's kind of a cool one as well. But so let's just start here. You're going into a deal, you're starting out, you're trying to build a show, you know. Chad, what do you think for advice for people that might be trying to build their base inventory and they maybe have let's just in this scenario they have a low starting budget. They're looking for deals. Where are you sending them? Sold digital marketing for many years. Websites are great if people know about your website. You need to invest in engine opt words for keywords. Estate sales, flea markets, auction houses sell things for people. The online ones charge buyer premiums plus buyer tax. Yes. Flea markets. I would suggest yard sales and flea markets. There's a lot of yard sales and flea markets out there. That's a great starting point. Facebook Marketplace is also a really good place to look. Another really good place, if you have the ability, is to go to a convention, go to a coin show, or a card show, or a trade show, or show X, show X, show X. Tons of different shows out there. What else do we have? Trade shows are amazing. Usually shows are pretty solid. It's a huge expense to get to these things, but I can't tell you how many times I'm going to say show because and we're going to a show next week and we're going to talk about this next on our next week's podcast on Tuesday about going to Long Beach and why shows are so important. Go to an LCS. That's a great one too. If you have a local shop that specializes in your needs, why not hit the local shop? They have a lot of dead inventory sometimes, and maybe they're willing to help the new guy, And normally those guys, I've never really been to an LCS that I've had a problem with. Normally they're very educational. And normally they're great for kickstarting as well because they have stuff just like everybody else that they want to move as well. Secondhand stores, great choice there. Yeah, absolutely. Anywhere that you can build margin, any of these have been great. Pawn shops, absolutely. Yeah. Any of these places that you can build your margin, it's great, right? When you develop these relationships with your customers, they will bring collections and friends and family that need to sell to you as well. Marcy, I never thought about it that way. That's so cool. Yeah. I mean, you don't know how many times we get hit up. Hey, I'm trying to sell something. I mean, your customers could be a great resource as well to sell you items. That's so true. Great point there, Marcy. I like that. Become friends with pawn shop personnel. That could be cool. Yeah. Networking. Networking is huge in your buying because that guy that you got that huge deal from, get his phone number, get his contact information because he might have another deal that he can sell to you at maybe even a better price that you might make some more money on it. If you made a lot of money off that deal, you better be calling that same guy because that's your new distributor. We talked a lot about last night. Everybody wants a distributor. And I think that word in 2023 is becoming a lot less vague. A lot of those companies are not a thing anymore. Your distributors are the guys that are sitting there in a normal t-shirt and jeans or shorts. That's your distributor. The guy at a show, it's not some guy in a tuxedo or a suit anymore. It's some guy at a show with a lot of stuff, And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand when they join an industry. They think they have to talk to a big organization. No, you just got to talk to the guy with all these stuff, And I think in any industry, I've noticed that a lot too. People are like, what is your distributor? Do they have an office? No, it's just some guy that has a lot of stuff, man. It's not as complicated as everyone makes it out to be. You know, most of them are just normal people that just have a lot of inventory and want to sell it. And that's another cool thing. So if you're worried, oh man, I don't have an LLC, I don't have a business license, it's okay. You don't need that right away. It'd be cool to have that, but you can start out just by talking to people and building those connections. I've sold memorial rings that have sold more rings to my family because I love my product. Oh, that's awesome. Treat your customers like they are five more customers behind them. Absolutely. I like that one, Chad. I like that one. Got to make the relationships. Yes. I remember when I was starting out in sports cards. So I brought this up last night about my Kobe story because I said, guys, I built my business, off $10 Kobe and Jordan cards, $5 to $10 Kobe and Jordan cards that I was buying for $2 to $5 and selling them a lot of times for, $5 to $10. And I remember once I bought from one guy, he's like, "Hey, my buddy might have some." And so then he gave me his buddy's number and then his other buddy had some. It's a ripple effect. If people know you're buying something and they have something they want to sell, they're going to give you contacts, and networking when you're buying is so crucial because especially if you're hunting a specific item and that's your niche, hey, you become known as that guy, they're going to go hunt stuff for you. You won't even have to do the work. If everybody knows that, hey, I'm buying this and I'm paying this, they're going to go try and buy that stuff and sell it to you and make money off that as well and build another stream of income for themselves. It's just how it works, man. It's a never-ending cycle, and you can be your own distributor then. You're the distributor at that point. They're selling to you, and you have the advantage. You set the prices. You just have to have the capital to do that. But I've seen a lot of guys do that, especially, in cards. They're like, hey, I really am buying a lot of, Josh Allen right now. People are going to go find Josh Allen cards for you and bring them to you. And hey, you want these? Cool. Yeah, I want this one, this one, this one. Great. Saves you time. And sometimes it even saves you money. But that's a great comment as well. I like this. Another great question for everybody out there, streamers, buyers. Do you pay over the comps? Like, so if there's a comp or a price, how do you feel about that? If are you the type of person that's going to try and match that comp, or are you the type of person that's going to pay over? Are you the type of person that always wants to pay under? You're not buying it. How do you feel about that? What do you guys think about that? Depends on the situation. Narratively, right here, okay. So if I have, let's just say I have this 1 ounce Geiger bar, comps all day around $45. What are you paying? You're paying $25. Comps at 45, you're paying 25. Wait for a deal. I give in on the lower, cheaper items to show I can give a little. Wait for a deal. $30. I know you're kidding, Douglas. I know you're kidding. I can get to 32, 40, wait for a deal. Wait for a deal. 40 or wait for a deal. If a seller is honest and gives me a good deal, I'll bid it up to make them pay fairly. Not always, but I try. That is relationship building too. There's no wrong answer to this. We got 150 people in here. If this comp's at $45 and you want it, what are you trying to pay? Buyer or seller? You can give me both scenarios too if you want to give me both scenarios. We'll take both scenarios if you want to give me both. 49. 49, okay. First person that's going to pay over comps. Honesty is key. Depends on what I pay other dealers as well. Let's say all around the market, it's a $45 item. You can't buy it cheaper than $45, okay? Let's just say that for this scenario. $44 to $46, $52, $30 to $35. So I like this question because you see we have a little bit of discrepancy. Some people are like, man, I want to make $10. And other people are like, I don't care. I want the item. You know? I think this is a good question because it kind of proves our whole point here. When you're buying something, just because you see that it's, doing these numbers doesn't mean you're always going to get those prices, And a lot of people nowadays have that mentality. If something goes for X, I am paying less. And that's just a fact, But there's still, people out there that are like, if I want the item, I'm going to pay for it, I've seen it all night long. So I run, usually 200 to 300 auctions a night. It seems like on average, we're getting $4 to $5 less than the last sold item. You know why? Because people want to build margin. People want to build margin in anything they do when they buy. If you're going to go to the store, I've seen grocery stores do this lately where you buy bananas. I know it's stupid, bananas, right? But you're going to buy bananas. You buy one banana, you're going to pay basically the same price as buying a whole thing of bananas, or two bananas, the same price as the whole thing as buying all the bananas. What are people going to do? They're going to buy all the bananas. They're going to buy 6 bananas instead of 2 bananas. You know why? Because it's the same price and people like to save money. It's a thing. So when you're building your show and you're going out and buying, you need to have that mentality in your head. I might be buying this at $10 less than what it's worth. And I think I can make, that price because there's a comp for that. But understand when you put that item up for bid, those customers are probably going to be wanting to steal that for $5 less than the sold price. I've been seeing it a lot, especially in our industry here at Coins and Bowling with Silver Eagles. Silver Eagles, all day an MS70 should be $70, but you can't sell it right now for pretty much less than your average price on them have been around $60 to $65. It's because people want that extra $5. And normally they're justifying it to cover their shipping. You could say the same thing about a sports card. If there's a comp for $85, people are going to try to pay 80, 75, 70 sometimes even. It's crazy. You could say the same thing about, a purse. I've seen it all, but factor that in as well when you're going into buying. The market is not agreeing with the comps right now, and that is the truth. Just because there's a sold listing, don't use that as your overall head. A lot of sales are experience, A lot of sales are experience and figuring out what it's worth. I've had the same scenario, though, where there's an item that comps all day at this. I've always sold it for this, and then they'll sell for double sometimes the last comp. Why is that? Maybe that person needed it. Maybe they wanted it. They didn't care that there was a comp. They wanted that item, and there was a bidding war, and somebody else wanted it too, and that happens. But you can't plan for that on every single item because you plan for that, you're going to end up losing money. You're going to end up losing money. And, this is just little things. I see a lot of, people talking about a lot of different things. The biggest thing with this, guys, at the end of the day is you have to build your market. You have to understand when you're going in and buying a collection, when you're buying stuff, focusing in on, at the end of the day, how am I going to buy this? How am I going to sell it? And if I'm going to sell it and I have to pay fees, factor in those fees. And if you can't get the item to make sense, the easiest thing to say is no. Don't be afraid to say no, ladies and gentlemen, because just because that item looks good on paper doesn't mean it's going to look good in the field, If you're building a football team And this quarterback looks really good on paper. Doesn't mean he's going to be the best quarterback. Maybe there's another quarterback or maybe there's another item that's better, and you have to go search for that item. I've had a lot of times where I'm like trying to make this deal work and we're off maybe as much or as little as maybe $25 sometimes. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, man. But if it works, it works. And that's another thing. If you buy that deal and you're off $25, maybe you can save that money on another deal. But if you're down to your little bit of cash and that's it, you might have to say no. Items do not sell themselves. A lot of sellers do with the price of the item. Personality goes a long way. I don't disagree with that either, Seven. You have to sell that item like it's your last item ever. I like that. And did you know that brick and mortar shops are closing quickly? I did. Yeah, I seen that. A lot of brick and mortars, this year really condensing down. A lot of retail chains, especially condensing down on their stores. I saw that. Spot prices just kind of in general. We'll talk about that tomorrow. How about that? Rexmus. Congrats on the giveaway. Giveaway number 6 to Rexmus. Yeah, a lot of retail chains are closing, which is causing a lot more people to go online, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to start this podcast to inspire and help other entrepreneurs, come together with some like-minded people and get questions answered. So if this is your first night here, welcome. If you're a seller in here, I'm glad you're here. If you're a buyer in here, even better. And if you're someone looking to start, your online business, even better. I'm glad you're here tonight. That's kind of my rant on that. But we can kind of continue further into this. What other ideas? Keep it more focused around the topic tonight, guys. Buying and selling. And what other stuff do you have to add tonight to that, maybe? How do you make money when these big retail stores sell at below stupidly? It's a great question. A lot of people ask that. How do you make money when someone sells cheaper than you? And the honest question is, you sell for the same price that you got to sell at. I know a lot of people that can't sell as cheap as the buyer wants. Unfortunately, that's just not going to be your buyer then. Because one guy's selling cheaper than everybody else doesn't mean the item is worth less. I see it all the time with anything. There's a comp for like 37, there's a comp for 54, and then there's consistent comps for like 80, 90, 100. It happens. Sometimes stuff sells cheaper. I mean, tonight I saw a roll of maples sell for $180. Does that mean every single maple now is a $5 maple? No, it just means somebody got a deal, and it happens, and we move on. But if you're worried about people selling things, higher than you have to find ways to bring your value. Then that's a great one. We're going to do another class later on about shipping crazy finds. So make sure you come back for that. We're talking about buying and selling though tonight. DSS straight up. What is the best silver to hoard? Walk-in liberties or junk silver? I think you're going to get better deals on junk silver. Yeah, exactly. People still buy gas across the street because it's a higher price because they like that gas station. Coin shop, I don't disagree. People are going to lose money and not last long, but then they have to adjust their business. If you're trying to sell, like we talked about this last night, you're coming into a market where everyone's doing this, you have to find something else where you can be creative and do your own stuff, where you can build your margin and people are going to be able to pay more for your stuff. Maybe because you're the only one that had it. I sold Morgan dollars tonight. Morgan dollars are a very popular coin in the coin industry. I sold every single one of them at what I wanted. It's never happened to me like in the last 3 months. I thought we were going to, lose money on every single one of them. I got exactly what I wanted. Most of them actually went for more than what I wanted tonight. You know why that was? Because no one else around me had Morgan dollars and people wanted mortgage tonight. Right place, right time. It happens, but we we got lucky. But next time I do that again, it probably won't be the same result. You can't be results oriented in sales. It's not going to ever work. But yeah, I mean, starting out is the hardest part of anyone's journey. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to start this, because there's a lot of people that struggle. There's a lot of people that lose money. I lose money every single day on items, but I try to sell other things to make up for those losses. And if you can't do that, yeah, you're going to probably run out of business because you're not going to be able to maintain it. But you have to find ways to contradict that. I would rather shop with ABC for an experience and customer service than XYZ for a few bucks in savings. I don't disagree, Marcy. It's all about the experience of the room, the experience of the product. We had a guy come in last night. I'm selling stuff way cheaper than everyone else. Why can't I sell it? I said, I would say you got to work on your brand awareness. We had a great podcast. I'd recommend everybody to go watch that last night. It was a great one. If you're asking that question, why can't I get more people in my room? You probably need to look at brand awareness. People don't know who you are, or they don't know what you're doing, and you need to teach them what you're doing. That's what's tricky about products. I have time and creation. I'm competing with people who create en masse. Exactly. But you need to create your product so it appeals to the masses. Coins that need some time with sellers. And yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, Whatnot specifically, talk about Whatnot for a second, is a very flooded market. I relate Whatnot. You're in a strip mall and there's 18 stores next to you that are doing the exact same thing. We're literally a strip mall, and every single store is the same thing, whether it's a sneaker store or a coin shop. So how are you going to make your store stand out, and how are you going to, attract people to come to your store? Coin Crate official. Coin Crate official. Official. Congrats on the giveaway, buddy. Giveaway number 8 is going live. Giveaway number 8. Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things, if we wanted to get into more details about selling in general, the vibe, of the room, how you're selling the product, how you're displaying your product. Somebody mentioned last night, and I love this, I wanted to bring it up tonight. If you're making listings, your pictures of the listings. I can't tell you how many times I've looked at listings and I couldn't see the item because it was so blurry or it was so far away. So if you're listing stuff, make sure your pictures are on point, and take those better pictures, because that sells products, man. I think $1 and goes is giving the idea of getting an item for nothing. I would disagree with that a little bit, Mark V. I think $1 and goes is cool. I never recommend dollar and goes for anyone that's starting out, especially if you don't have a room with more than 20 people. But I don't think it's giving the idea of giving stuff away. But I think it's people are using the buck and goes as a way to get stuff cheaper. But it's definitely hard to, but that's where you have to sell that item. Guys, this is a $35, $40, $50, $100 item, $1,000 item, buck and go. It should be at least this. And you need to be pushing that item as those dollar and goes are going and selling it. Sell your product. If you're selling Eagles for $30, one after another, a blind squirrel finds a nut. It happens, man. Yeah. Now we're like, what crazy when you start. Podcast was awesome. I don't mind breaking because I enjoy it, but a small profit would be nice. I don't blame it. Yeah. Small profit's always nice. You make money, it's a good year, right? You need to get people interested. Yes. Please, oh, please, can I co host the packing and shipping show? Boy, I have some stories I can offer. Oh, Marcy, yeah, whenever we do that, I'll make sure to try and hit you up. I want to get some live guests on here, but it's, with the OBS, it's a little harder to do, but we're still figuring that out. But I love that. Thank you. Just like you're doing now, you're you're building an audience. Yep, exactly. 100% show the obverse and the reverse. Yes. Okay, good. We're caught up. Why are Morgans so sought after and collected like they are? That doesn't seem to be a shortage of them, but they seem to sell pretty good money. That's a great question, Spanky Dogs. I relate Morgans to like your Morgans are similar to like, and this is going to sound terrible to some people, but Morgans are like your easy things. And I don't know, I call them liquid. The key word is liquid. Morgans are liquid because they're a hot item. There is a large amount of them out there, but the demand is there. Just like in, a lot of these other hobbies, there's liquid items. Morgans would be considered a liquid item. And yes, there's a lot of them out there. A lot of people can access them, and they do buy and sell pretty well. But also there's times when Morgans don't sell. I sold a couple Morgans tonight for $24 that should have gone for $35. But I also sold a bunch of them for what I wanted as well. Definitely have to be patient as a new seller. Absolutely. I'm far behind on the chat. Keep policy. Now we should be able to just enjoy the hobby. Exactly. The worst thing I've seen is the buck and go is you get unlimited supply of money and they pay way more than the item is worth. Timbo, it does happen occasionally. Absolutely. I can honestly say I've buck and go to a lot of things over the last couple months, and I can say there's very few things that I've sold on buck and go that have gone for over the money. But I do see it. I've seen it before. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the seller's responsibility, though. If something like that happens, to take care of their buyer, and people always find out. We talked about last night. What with the whole being honest, and people, they look for that stuff, and if they overpay, that's the worst thing for people. But sometimes, if it works out in the favor and it's not too much, it's going to be. Sometimes people do overpay. It happens. That's a whole nother conversation, though. What is OBS? It's what we're using right here. So like with my room here, like this, that's what OBS is. I've always wondered why Cole Morgan sell for 33 to 36 times face and all the other silver goes for 18 to 20 times because it's a popular item. It's an asset. New to money, what is so special about this dollar? This back in the day was tradable for 1 ounce, a 90% silver dollar, which would at the time would have been a Morgan dollar or a peace dollar. So that's why the silver certificates are so expensive. It's a piece of history. Number 8's going to Martin. I'm gonna catch up, guys. Sorry, but yeah, I think that's a great conversation there. And definitely, selling your product. Just like buying it, you have to go and sell it. You have to sell the product. You have to be, tell people about it. You have to learn to sell, and selling is a whole nother conversation. We can make selling its own probably podcast in itself. If I was in business, I've done sales for over 6 years now of my life, and I'm 26. But there's guys that have done it for 40, 50 years. It's never get old. You always learn something new in sales, which is one of the reasons I like it a lot. But that's something that you definitely have to master if you're going to do live selling, because it's not easy to sell an item anymore. I hear some people zoom in here. Yeah. There's a rare item or unique item. I'm going to bid on it. Yeah. Morgans are usually from the 1800s, which people forget. Junk silver is newer and less history behind it. Yep. Does OBS cost? No, it is free to use, but the software is free to use. But building the OBS equipment here, it did cost a lot of money to build the studio out. For new sellers, is there better advantages in diversifying and focus, or focusing on one particular item? For me, J. Ron, I personally believe that as a new seller, you need to get into that market and find your niche. And I think being able to diversify yourself, like I want to do this, I want to do that, especially if you don't have a huge bankroll, is going to be a lot better for you in the long run because people are going to know you at least have this and you don't have to be the guy that has everything. Because if you're the guy that has everything, you have to be able to supply it. And a lot of new guys coming into the industry don't have those connections yet. So if you can be diversifiable into one thing, I think it's so much better for you in the long run. Yeah. What I say is if that was your dream place, it is whatever it's worth, whatever you're worth you paid for. I agree. Once you get burned, you will look elsewhere and rethink your strategy. Have you ever bought anything, Moon? I buy stuff every day, buddy. Yeah, I love to buy. Buying's the best part, right? Because you don't have to think about it, you know? I don't buy with the intention to resell. Anything that's counterfeit, no. I've never bought a counterfeit. Never bought a counterfeit, thankfully. But I'm also very particular on who I purchase from, so I guess I'm lucky in that aspect as well. I know in our shop we definitely see it at least once a month. Someone trying to sell us something that's fake. You make your money when you buy. Exactly. Yeah, you make your money when you buy it, but you got to sell it. But I like that. I like that a lot. Time we got 12:21. Okay. Would you buy from One Eyed Willie? Maybe depends on what he had. That's a great one though. I think selling is just as hard as it is buying, I mean, we're talking about sourcing product, we're talking about buying the product. Let's talk about the selling for a minute, and this is leading into a lot of stuff that's been said tonight is, a lot of people look at why can't I sell this item, and we talked last night a lot about brand awareness. We talked a lot about why building your brand, but if you can't sell your stuff, there's probably a reason. The reason it's not selling is one, people aren't seeing your product. The right buyer for that item is not seeing the product. So how do you make it more seen? You got to build your brand. And if you're coming in with stuff and people aren't buying it, you might have the wrong merchandise. You got to switch up what you're doing. That's when we talked about, you know, dead products. Dealers have dead product. They may not have a buyer for it, but you might have a buyer for it. I can't tell you how many times, especially when Whatnot was getting going, we were buying stuff from people and they were like, yeah, this is, dead money for me. And they were giving me such a good discount on it. And I was coming here and selling it like it was going out of style. I think one of the best examples, honestly, of that was last year. We were selling a crap load of what was it? Um the Aztec rounds. Aztec rounds, that's what it was. That was our best product last year. And a lot of people were buying it just like it was normal, but on here they were really hot. So, we were buying a lot of Aztecs because our people wanted Aztecs. But, that hype kind of went dried off. But for a while, those were the hottest thing that we sold. And now it's been Geigers. Geigers are really popular in here. Most guys won't even touch premium silver. But online, people love Geiger and Pamp. I don't know what it is. But it's another thing. Libertads are the new fad now. So Libertads were not hot at coin shows. They were hot online. Now everybody can't find Libertads. Yeah, that's another great one of this year. That might be the product of the year for hotness, honestly. I don't know about you, but I like Libertads. Reaching down to grab some more of these. But see, at coin shows, people were selling them like they were nothing, no big deal. And now everyone online went and bought all the Libertads. Yep. Waiting on 2023 Libertad still. Yep. That's a great conversation too, you know. You got to pick trends. For a while last year, another trend was a lot of people were selling half ounce silver, you know. We never thought to sell grams of silver or half ounce silver, but one guy started doing it, another guy started doing it. Anybody that sold last year remembers this. I mean, it became a thing where one guy did it, everyone does it. The cool thing when you're in a community like this, there's no secrets on what's working. If somebody finds something that works, you're going to see it on every channel in the next week or two. It just happens. Fractional was the hottest thing on this app. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was crazy. I think wasn't it when we went to Florida when everyone started buying it, Dave? Because you found the guy and you told me about it, and then I just remember everyone went and bought out that guy. Yeah, it was crazy, and then it just became the hottest thing on the app. But those are the kind of things when you find something like that, and it works. People see that and they're going to go try and replicate it, and you have to just sell it better. What do you think about the new? I can't talk about those yet, Cam. I'm not allowed to talk about those yet, but when I'm allowed to talk about them, I will. We were going to talk about them tonight, but they said I couldn't talk about them yet. New trend is Libertads then. Libertads are a trend, but buying them at a price you're going to be able to resell them at is very hard. We got lucky and found some at the Pittsburgh A&A. Yeah. I sold the guy's whole stock. No one was even looking at him. I remember that. That's funny. I find awesome pieces. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Libertads are free. I wish they were free. Yeah, they're just really hard to replace right now because nobody has them because they became really hot. Somebody made them hot, and pretty soon everybody wanted them. What's next? I couldn't tell you, but the minute I know, I'll tell you because you'll see me selling it. These are trends everywhere. Usually, whatnot lately has been a trendsetter, in my opinion. I think a lot of this stuff that we do on here has been trend setting for the market. Dobless, we'll talk about that soon. I can't talk about that, guys. Shh. Shh. I can't talk about that. We're not allowed to talk about that yet. Anyways, you'll find out soon enough. It's going to be something coming next week. But yeah, trend setting is big. Yes, it is, Dobless. Yep. You might have read the article, but we're not supposed to be talking about it yet here. Where else are you going to buy gold and silver 24/7? Yep, exactly. And this is kind of where the market trend sets, and I've seen a lot of people watching here, seeing what's selling, and then going other places. I think another great example of something, that we've seen in the past is, coins. Coins kind of come in and out, but when coins get hot, certain coins specifically, I remember there was a huge trend for, busted stuff. Like everybody wanted busted busted halves, busted quarters, seeded stuff. And now that trend's kind of fallen off a little bit, but when it picks back up, it will pick back up. CCs were another big trend for a while as well. Um, when your guys are going into buying, it's you got to follow the trends. How are the new rules affecting the mystery bags and people in this category? That's a great question. We can do a little side convo. Does anyone have any advice on that? It doesn't look like it's really changed anything, Marcy. In my opinion, from what I've seen, I heard one guy saying it changed him a lot. There's no more wheels and no more bounties, really, is the big change. For us on the juice slots, it's definitely not having a king of the hills made it a little less fun for people. But people are still juicing. Yeah. You're not allowed to do King of the Hill anymore. You're not allowed to basically put something up and say, "Hey, this is a incentive if you spend the most money tonight or whatever." Mr. Minty Fresh, what's up, baby? Minty Fresh. It's a little side comment. You guys can make your own opinion. I don't run really anything else besides that, so I'm the wrong person to ask about that. But from what I've heard, it really hasn't affected too many people as much as we thought it was going to. I thought it was going to be really detrimental, but people are adjusting. They're adjusting, and they seem to be doing all right from what I've heard. But that's good. I didn't want anyone to lose their business over that. I noticed CC dollars go for more than regular Morgans. Absolutely, yeah, they're a lot harder to find. And they're still trending pretty hard in the industry, just not and going back to our conversation there, um, you're gonna have things that trend outside of Whatnot or on outside of your website that are gonna be more, popular out there than they are in here too. We might have something that's trending here, but outside of here, it's not trending. You know, there's a lot of items like that as well. You just kind of that's part of, the experience of getting on here and doing it. You're going to find stuff like that. I know a lot of people we say it every day. Man, I could go sell these out here. I could ship these off. How many times have you heard I can ship these off for this price? And they're selling for less than that. So there's things that are trending outside of Whatnot that, go for more outside. Didn't really get affected, but the wheel stuff and the extra stuff as incentive buys are now illegal. Yeah, absolutely. Plus, that makes them anymore. So, what's the next trend? That's always the question. What is the next trend? Increased demand for wholesalers. We talked about that earlier, Dragon Mel. And nowadays, most of your wholesalers are guys that look just like me, wearing a T-shirt, sitting at a show, and they're the guy with all those boxes of stuff. Those are your wholesalers nowadays, folks. Those are the guys that you need to become best buddies with. Your wholesalers nowadays aren't wearing suits and ties and in a big office building. But I think there's definitely a demand for it. I wish currency would come back, Mr. Waldo. It's been slow. Currency has been so slow. Currency has been so slow. It's sad, man. It needs to pick up. Just wait. I'm waiting. I need it to come back. I miss selling paper, man, but it's just been really slow. Silver's really slowed down for us a lot this week too. I don't know what's up with that. Ever since spot went up, it's been really slow on that as well. I got some crazy wholesalers. There you go. You gotta have people. You gotta have places to buy. You gotta have places to buy. I'm asking if demand for them is pushing prices higher. People looking for product. Oh yeah. That's a great conversation too. When the demand for product goes up, prices do go up. Yeah, I would say yes. I definitely noticed at the Pittsburgh ANA, which was last month, that there was a lot of demand for coins, so it was a little harder to buy coins on the floor because all the wholesalers were selling out of things and going and trying to buy more of it. So you were seeing after day one, and I think that goes to any show. If something becomes hot in the room, you're going to see a lot less of it. But yeah, I think there definitely is a little bit of a demand right now for people, for wholesalers buying stuff. So maybe that is causing some prices to go up. That's a good tell, but it's possible. Yep. Just like crypto, once people hear about it and they want it. Yep. And I asked what the trend you think will die out. I don't think there's anything really trending right now. I would say there's not really a product that's, in my mind, there's not a product right now that's like, oh my God, those are good every time. And that's going to like die. I think Eagles were a great example of something recently that was really trending, and then the premiums went way down and they kind of died off a little bit. Will they come back? Absolutely. But I mean, there was at one time you couldn't sell a raw eagle for less than $45. Maybe something right now would be Libertads. Maybe the Libertad hype will die down once the 2023s release or whatever. I mean, if you talk about like other categories, for example, football cards, the minute somebody gets injured, their hype dies. But, just because something dies doesn't mean it can be reborn either. Do you ever feel that you create a market on Whatnot? It's bigger streamers that are selling silver for 18 times. It's hard to match that as a small guy. Yes and no. I mean, I sell stuff cheap every single day because I'm here to sell volume. And I see guys doing the same exact products that I do, normally selling it for more money. A great example was I was selling a bunch of Eagles last night because I had a monster box and we needed to get them moving because we had another one coming. So I sold a bunch of them and the average was like only $32, which was terrible. But I saw a bunch of other people selling Eagles having $40 no problem. So just because just because one person's selling it cheaper doesn't mean another person can't sell it for what it's worth or more, than the other person. We've been on this since 2021. May of 2021 was when this channel was created. Track made Shalib. Lot number 11. It's a good question though. Yeah. I started this was actually a sports card channel and then we had to rebrand it over to a card or coin channel. Yeah. This used to be a card channel. Oh. But yeah, I think that's a good conversation. Just because somebody else is doing, I don't like to look at other people because if I look at my competition, I start to nitpick what I'm doing. If I see my competition selling something for this, now my mind's like, oh, I got to sell it for that or I'm not going to sell it. Definitely makes it harder sometimes, but I get it. I mean, you got to understand at the end of the day, too, when people are selling stuff for cheaper, it just makes your product look better once they run out. Normally, if we have something and we're selling it cheap, it doesn't last more than a day. So you might want to push that product back a day and it makes your product look even better now because you have it and somebody else doesn't, Money makes the world go round. Buying a lot of coins off card profits. No, this isn't my business. I merged my business with another company. He's like that on every stream he's on. Oh. Yep. If something's not moving for what you want that day, push it back to the next show, C&J all the time, man. Everybody always has a guy where they can go buy something cheaper than you, but that's probably not your customer. If that guy can get it for cheaper, great. I tell him every day, go buy it for cheaper. But if you want to support my brand, if you want to support me and all that, go buy it here, man. It might only be, sometimes it's the littlest things too. It's like $2. And it's like, especially on like silver, it's like, I'm selling silver for $30 and they're like, oh, I can buy this for 27 everywhere else. Go buy it then. Why are you wasting time? I want some. Give me some, you know? Exactly, it's the little things, man. But if somebody wants to support you and they want to be your customer, they're going to pay the extra money sometimes because they like your stuff. And 90% of the time, no matter who you are on here, if somebody buys something for more, they're going to find something else for less because not everything you sell is going to be more than everybody else. Everybody always has a cheaper item. They just got to find it and they're going to have to want to buy it. But absolutely. This has been a great conversation. A lot of good, nice to see all the familiar faces and all the new faces tonight. Thank you guys for coming out. We are going to push the next podcast, guys, just so you know, to next Tuesday, the day before we leave for Long Beach. We're going to do a little pre Long Beach and then post Long Beach podcast, kind of talking about it and giving you guys some insight on the show. That's going to be our next conversation on the podcast. Um, I hope everyone has a good Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend if you got to go to bed. I always mix those up. Does anyone else do that? Mix up Memorial Day and Labor Day? I always do it. I always say Memorial Day on Labor Day and Labor Day on Memorial Day. It's crazy. Truth is, cost averaging and buying over time and flexible selling, keeping your audience. I appreciate that. Yes. You do it all the time. Why does everyone do that? It's crazy. I'm not the only one tonight. That's perfect. I don't know why. I feel like they should switch them. I always feel like the Memorial Day needs to happen on Labor Day. Right. I always do that though. I'm not about the items. Sometimes it's the sellers. Yeah. I mix them up every time too. Yeah. Tomorrow's the first and Friday. Isn't that crazy? We're in September. Officially September here in Nebraska. I hope you're having a great September, folks. It's going to be a great month. What else do we want to add to this topic, or is there anything else before we sign out tonight that you guys want to discuss or talk about really fast? What do you mean by price auction? That sounds intriguing. I like that. He put a question mark on there. I'm interested now. Let's go. Guys, I hope you're liking this content too. We're doing this to educate, to bring people together. And most of all, there's a lot of people with a lot of questions. Maybe a lot of people that haven't been doing this long. And any advice that I can give or any advice that I can give you in this chat, that's what this is all about, because there's a lot of people that want to do this, a lot of people that want to take that next step in their life to build a business and build a brand. And we're just giving them some resources because sometimes it feels really hard to get an answer, and that's what my goal is for this. And I hope you guys are having fun with it. And maybe you're learning something. Redneck, that's funny. We'll do one more giveaway. JCVD Tiger. You're helping me get tired for bed. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. I'm surprised there's as many of you awake. JCV Tiger. I'm usually always up at this point. Usually I'm home by now, but that's okay. It's kind of nice to chit chat before bedtime, Tomorrow's Friday, or technically today's Friday. Happy Friday. What makes pennies so popular? That's a great question. What makes a coin popular in general is really, demand for it. I think wheat cents were always really popular, but I think the idea of, breaking rolls got really popular during COVID, and that's what really popped wheat cents off. The funniest thing, though, is wheat cents were not popular until online made them popular. They built that trend. They were still excuse me, I'm sorry. They were building that trend. They made them popular, but as people were ripping them live and, doing wheat cent roll rips, that's what made them really popular. And that started a trend. There you go, working out the kinks. Good question. What days do you find are the best to sell on? This is a question I get a lot, and this is kind of some personal information, but I guess I'll give it tonight. You ready for this answer, Martin P? Are you sitting down? You got your notebook out? You ready to write down all these days? You ready? Are you ready, chat? What's the best time to sell? In my opinion, it's all the time. There it is. Somebody said it before me. Every day, all the time. There's never a bad time to sell. I think I think the best thing for that answer though is you're gonna find that you're gonna do better on certain times of the day, certain times of the week, certain times of the month. Unfortunately, we've only been doing this a year, which I say unfortunately because we don't have enough data to really answer that question yet. And honestly, the data from last year to this year is completely different because this is a lot bigger than it was a year ago or 2 years ago. So I don't really know the answer to that question. My advice to you is if you're liking it, and it's working, go for it. If it's not working, switch up your time. you kind of got to play and you're going to find your place. A lot of people will switch times when they're starting out. They'll start in the morning, they'll try a little bit at night, and then they find their place. I know Dave's been doing this a while. He found his place. He's doing something. Marcy, same way. For me, my best time and the time people want to buy from me is 6 to midnight. 6 to midnight, Monday through Saturday. That is my time. And I had to find that time over about a year. And Thrasher's time is he works best in the morning, and that's when people want to buy from Thrasher's, the 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 morning show. But you won't find your time if you're not going on there and trying to find your time. But I recommend everybody, if you're starting out tonight, to experiment with some different time slots, different days. If you're able to, not everyone's able to, obviously, because maybe your only day off is Saturday and Sunday. And, those are the only days you can stream. You can't stream during the week, but try experimenting. If you're doing this full time and it's your business, you have all the time in the world. You can experiment. But if you don't have all the time in the world, it's one of those things as well. I've had no one in my shows, then one buyer come and buy everything. So one buyer versus any chance. Yep. And he changes everything. Yeah, and don't be afraid just because you don't have anyone in your stream to not wait it out a little bit. I think a lot of people jump the gun and they go on and they, just kind of wait there, and then they're like, oh, I'm getting bored. Commit an hour, 30 minutes. If it's not working, it's not working. But sometimes it takes a waiting game. I was on tonight and I didn't sell anything maybe for the last hour. I'll show the same coin 3 or 4 times throughout the night before it sells sometimes. It's crazy. So that's another great tip. Another great tip for tonight. As we get down to the last 30 seconds here, I want to thank everyone for coming to the DSS podcast. I'm sure we'll do another topic about buying and selling. This is something that always comes up. Thanks everyone for coming out, and I hope you guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, come hang out with us on Whatnot at DSS Enterprises. Have a wonderful evening, folks. My name is Moon. Have a good night.